Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar hosted by CTIconnect, introducing the Airspan CBRS portfolio. My name is Jennifer Whitney, and I'll be your moderator today. We've got three speakers. From CTIconnect, we have Lamar Gibbs, Marketing Coordinator. On the Airspan side, we have Troy Connolly, General Manager of North America, Greg Piskey, Senior Technical Lead for North America, and myself, Marketing Solution Manager. I want to quickly touch on a couple housekeeping items before beginning the presentation. First, if you experience any connectivity issues, we recommend refreshing your browser and signing back into the call. If that doesn't work, try switching to the Google Chrome browser. And if neither of those things work, please reach out to us at marketing@mimosa.co and we'll try and solve the issue for you. Either way, CTIconnect will be sharing the recording for reference after the webinar today. After the content portion of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A session. Please use the tool to submit your questions, which you can do at any time. To ask a question, either use the chat functionality or post a question to the questions section. Any questions we don't have time to get to today will be addressed separately after the webinar. All right, now that all that is out of the way, let's get started. Here's our agenda. After this, I'll be passing the mic over to Lamar, who will set the stage with an introduction. Troy will pick up from there with answers to why Airspan, and then he'll share some case studies. Greg is going to cover the focus of our webinar today with an overview of the CBRS portfolio, Netspan, and aCore. And after his portion, we'll take your questions before we wrap things up. All right, and with that, let me pass it on to Lamar. Hey, Lamar, it's all you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Hi, my name is Lamar Gibbs. I am the marketing coordinator with Convergence Technologies. Convergence Technologies is actually the parent company of CTIconnect, along with CTIconnect's sister companies IPPay, Mitotech, and iNet Capital. CTIconnect is is a leader in the telecom market. CTIconnect and Convergence Technologies have been in the telecom market since 1995. We are the premier distributor of fixed wireless telecom network and network infrastructure. We serve ISPs, utilities, government, enterprise, transportation, and industrial networks in North America. We bring world-class offerings in engineering, network design, and superior supply chain services. Essentially, we are pretty much a total system solution with a personal touch, yet expert touch. CTIconnect is part of the Convergence Technologies families, as I stated. APX9 is a quality in-house brand of hardware and accessories with competitive pricing. Just to give you another very brief overview of the Convergence family of companies, CTIconnect pretty much handles the wireless hardware supply and distribution. Mitotech, sister company, handles IT networks and infrastructure services. IPPay handles payment processing, gateways, and billing. And iNet Capital handles leasing, financial services, and loans. So if you really think about it, it's pretty much an incredible ecosystem all under one umbrella. Now, our mission here at CTIconnect is to be a trusted partner of customers and vendors by empowering profitable growth through innovative services, technical expertise, and distribution of revolutionary telecom products at competitive prices. And to give you a brief overview of CTIconnect's presence, our presence is pretty vast. Our expert logistics teams they're very quick, they're thorough, and they're easy to work with. We have a couple distribution centers located in Burr Ridge, Illinois, and Round Rock, Texas. Our sales team is extremely experienced and very seasoned and focused on the personalized overall experience. And we offer full coverage for North America with coast-to-coast support. And if we move on now to CTIconnect management, we have our new president, Sasha Segal. She just took over earlier this month, and thus far she's been a great addition to the team. We really appreciate it. And also with Sasha, we have Gary Kellner. He's the managing director of operations. And then here we have just a really quick overview of our awesome team. My team is extremely experienced, knowledgeable, and thorough, and they can handle pretty much anything you need, from questions to setup to just figuring out any type of infrastructure that you may need to put in place to help just grow your business overall. Okay, and we'll pass it over to Troy now.
Thank you very much, Lamar. I appreciate it. We're pleased to be having this webinar today with CTIconnect, a partner with us for all of our products, our Mimosa products and our Airspan products as well. There may be some folks on the call that doesn't know who Airspan is. We're kind of a newer name into the mass market industry, I'll call it. We're a company that's been very successful delivering to specific accounts, but not necessarily to the mass market that we're trying to get with our CBRS products through our partners like CTIconnect. To give you a little bit of an overview of Airspan, we are almost 25 years old now. So those of you as old as I am that have been in this space for as many years as I've been know that we've seen a lot of companies, both large and small, rise and fall as we've experienced the peaks and valleys of telecom over the last few years. Airspan is one of the few that are standing that have been around for that long. The company was incubated out of a company called DSC Communications back in the late 80s. It rolled out, and our CEO that assumed control of the company at the time is still our CEO today. Actually, the entire executive staff is the same that was in place at the time. We started life as a fixed wireless company. The company branched into mobility, and we've done a lot of things in mobility that we'll share with you. And now we've come full circle and back to the fixed wireless space. So how do you get to be 25 years old in this market? Well, first you have innovative products. You have innovative products, and you surround yourself with good partners. Qualcomm, I'm sure you've all heard of Qualcomm. Qualcomm is one of the leading chipsets in the industry. They were actually one of our first investors, and we have a partnership with Qualcomm that goes back for years and years and years. We're the only company that really has software access into the Qualcomm chipset, which allows us to differentiate our products over others that just use the Qualcomm chipsets. We can actually get in and do some software changes in the system. We have tier one manufacturing. We use Foxconn to do all of our manufacturing. We're a little bit different than some companies in that, and I'll show you the companies that we deal with, but our experience is in dealing with tier one carriers, and I'll show you that in a little bit. What we've done in the past, rather than do mass market type products, we've partnered with big companies, big tier one carriers, and we've built custom products for those. And we've built a tremendous revenue stream just for dealing with those. And I'll show you that as we go along. But the thing that we're the most proud of, because we're so experienced in this field and we've been around for a while, we understand the difficulties associated with deploying systems. And that means zoning factors. You know, there's a lot of things that come into play that we want to provide a small cell out here, but we may not have access to a big macro tower in this area. So you'll see that we have a full suite of products that range everywhere from the macro system that goes on the big towers to small cells that can go on light poles to inside products as well. We're very experienced in dealing with enterprise LTE and basically inside the house LTE, and I'll show you that a little bit also. The thing we also learned is that if you're going to deploy these, it cannot be complicated to deploy. You got to get your techs out and you got to get them back. That means the system has to be as easy as humanly possible to be able to install, to turn up, to be able to recognize who it's connected to and automatically configure itself. We've got a very sophisticated software self-optimizing network algorithm that Greg will talk to you about that allows you to go in and install a system, put it on the tower, and it basically comes up by itself. So you can't have your technicians out there for hours while you're doing this. The system's got to be smart enough to be able to turn up on its own. We gained this experience through our experience with the major players. And I'll talk a little bit about Sprint and Geo and Turkcell and Rakuten, but we have shipped over 1 million nodes into some of the largest carriers in the world. And you know, you may not know the Airspan name, but I want you to know that we're not a startup. We have experience, and our experience has been in dealing with tier 1 carriers. It's probably not a 5 nines type of a thing in the wireless industry, but that's what we build and design to. And I know you guys are all familiar with 5 nines. And the most important thing, or one of the most important things, is once you've built a cool product and you've manufactured it, you have to get it out to the sites where they need it. So we've built a supply chain that allows us to deliver the products in a cost-effective manner, on time, and anywhere around the world. All right, Jennifer. There we go. I talked about this before. We've shipped over 1 million cells. We've shipped into Sprint, Reliance Geo, one of the largest, if not the largest, greenfield mobility networks in the world. It's interesting in talking about Geo, and I'll get into Geo a little bit. But we built a TDD network, and we learned a lot from that, and that TDD product is what's allowed us to provide the CBRS product that we have today. I'll talk about Rakuten. The one thing that I want to point out on this is that if you look at the range of options in deployment, you can see tower models, you can see buildings that products that you can put on the side of buildings. We have inside the house LTE, eNode Bs, and we even have a strand mount system. I know a lot of you probably don't own the strands that run along the wall, that run along the roads and everything, but some of our MSO customers do, so they hang the units on the strands and serve them through the strands. They don't even need towers to be able to do that. We think we're pretty cool, and the industry thinks we're pretty cool. This is just a few of the most recent awards that we've won. The most recent one is the GLOMO Award. That's kind of like the Emmy of the, coming off the heels of the Grammys. This is kind of like the Emmy of the awards in the telecommunications industries. And we won that for our Magic Box product for Sprint. But this just goes to show how innovative the company is in developing new type products. And I must tell you, if I'm speaking a little fast, I apologize for that. We're very cognizant of the time that we have, and I want to get to the meat of this presentation, which is Greg's piece. So we're kind of talking a little bit quickly with our product. When we talk about the products, it'll be kind of a high level overview. We're not going to go in depth on a lot of things. If you have questions or you want to see this, We'll be happy to work with CTIconnect and get with you and do deep dives on anything that you want to see. But for this presentation, we just want to share some high level slides on what kind of products that we have and what they do. So why Airspan? I talked about that a little bit, but we'll go into it. We built with the customer the largest greenfield pure LTE deployment in the world. And we'll talk about this in a little bit. The most important thing here is the experience associated with deploying over 1 million cells in various form factors. And that's very important for us, is to offer our customers options when they're looking at building their network. We can provide integrated wireless backhaul in our products to help you with that. I've talked about form factors a lot, but you'll see that as we get into the products. We have a single OS. Our Netspan system controls every unit that we make, whether it be an interior eNode B or a small cell or a macro eNode B. Everything speaks to Netspan. I touched a little bit about the long-term partnership with Qualcomm. Again, they were an investor of ours way back in the day when Airspan was, just a little startup company that nobody knew. And we're proud of the fact that we do have software access into their products, and no one else has that. And we're US based. There's a lot of vendors out there that have headquarters internationally, but Airspan is based in the United States. We have 2 major corporate headquarters. We have one in Santa Clara and our main corporate headquarters in Boca Raton, Florida. We have offices all over the world. We're truly an international company, but we are a US-based company. I'll show you some examples of some of the deployments that we've had, just so you know. Reference accounts. If you use a Sprint phone, chances are you've talked through some of our products. We've got over 300,000 small cells distributed in over 200 regions of Sprint, and that includes macro cells. It includes the smart box, which sits inside the home or inside the business, and Sprint also uses our strand mount system as well. So we're proud of the network that we've helped Sprint build with our products. I talked about the largest greenfield mobile operator in the world. Reliance Jio has deployed over 150,000 of our radios to connect up to 100 million LTE subscribers, and they're still growing. So, we helped Reliance Jio when they were first getting started, and we've been a partner with them for a long time as they continue to grow. You see here this note on the slide that's pretty cool. 0 to 100 million subscribers in 180 days. That is deploying nodes quickly. That's manufacturing, delivering, and deploying nodes quickly for Reliance Jio. That shows you the scale, the type of scale that Airspan has. We just signed a deal with Rakuten. You see commercials for Rakuten in the United States nowadays doing different things. But in Japan, they're building the newest mobile network in Japan. And they are using our 4G nodes to build out this year. But in 2020-21, they'll be using our 5G nodes. They've tested them, and we're a little bit away from commercial deployment on the 5G nodes. But they plan that they're going to go 4G and 5G, brand new network throughout the country of Japan. And this is a new contract that we just signed, which is really pretty interesting for us. We just signed a deal with GoGo. If you guys fly on a plane and you've used Wi-Fi on the plane, chances are you've used GoGo when you've been on the plane. So we've just signed a deal with them to provide their ground-to-air communication systems. So they'll be using our radios on the ground to connect to planes in the air for any airline that GoGo serves. Just a few case studies. I'm not going to get into this a whole lot, There's nothing here that's rocket science for you all on the phone. I mean, you know how to what you're looking at in building a wireless network, but this kind of shows a little bit of the scalability of the product again. Different types of nodes for indoor and outdoor. This is kind of an overview of a WISP deployment that's building new, going into businesses or to individual homes, whether it be something mounted on a tower, something mounted on a light pole, you know, any way to be able to get connection into the customers that you need to get connected and up on your network. Again, the WISP market, generally, this shows the tower model. It shows you the type of products that we use on things like this. And Greg will talk about each one of these individually, most particularly the AirHarmony. That's our flagship product. It's been around for a long time, and we've deployed millions of, not millions, but we've deployed hundreds of thousands, close to 1 million nodes of this out into the field. For triple play services, you know, anything that you want to be able to serve. We've now modified the AirHarmony system from a mobility type platform into the CBRS, and that's what we're offering here. We have a couple of different nodes that we're offering in CBRS, and Greg will talk about them. But the AirHarmony 4200 are the units that CTIconnect has on the shelf. That and our small cell, the AirSpeed 101000 that we'll talk about. The last slide was just talking about a win that we've had with one of the largest Midwest-based WISPs in the United States. A recent high-profile win. This was a leading smart home company that delivers smart home appliances and systems and everything. They're using our AirSpeed product that we'll talk about. They're using our AirSpot, so they're covering indoors as well as outdoors. And of course, everything talks to the Netspan. We deal a lot with cable companies as well. Cable companies, I talked earlier about, you know, strand mounted systems. This kind of shows you what a strand mounted system looks like. We have a couple of ways to feed this, either DOCSIS or we can feed it with PoE. This particular customer that we won delivers our services on the AirStrand product, on the AirVelocity. So once again, they're doing indoor as well as outdoor. And of course, everything ties together through Netspan. You can see the example of the AirVelocity system. It could either be ceiling mounted or wall mounted, wherever you have the ability to mount a system and put a radio into any of the businesses that you serve. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Greg and apologize for speaking so quickly, but I think you'll find this part of the presentation to be the most interesting in what you guys signed up for. So Greg, it's all yours.
Okay. Let's make sure I got control here. Okay. Hello. So my name is Greg Piskey. As mentioned at the start of this, I am in charge of the technical pre-sales for Airspan for North America, and I've been involved with the launch of the CBRS platform for some time now. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take you through our CBRS portfolio. You can see we're kind of divided up here between outdoor and indoor, and Troy's done a good job of taking you through the basics of the use case. So I will kind of as I take you through the products themselves, I'll kind of preface those with you know, the applicable use case, if you will. So just jumping ahead, let's see, Jennifer, I'm trying to control this thing. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. So the background here for CBRS and Airspan's involvement, we've been involved in what's called WIN Forum. There's the standards bodies built around CBRS, of course, you know, it's standard FCC compliant, you know, product, or if you will, a standard. And so early days, we got involved. You can see here various work groups that we're involved in. You know, the CBSD itself, the reference to that would be actually the radio, or the eNode B. So we've been involved with the development of the domain proxy and the CBSD, you know, kind of early days for the test and wiring harness. But more importantly, On the security side of this, we work with a company called DigiCert to provide what is the X509 certification. That's a security requirement for SaaS interconnection. And then just as importantly for you end users, the certified professional installers, a reference here to CPI. And then, we've of course been involved in early days in the development and continue to develop what is essentially the SaaS to CBSD protocol, or the interface to the SaaS. So each radio, in our case, we've developed a domain proxy, and we will go through that as I introduce our Netspan, as Troy referenced earlier. So we'll get into a bit more detail on that, but this just gives you some background on where we started with in the early days of CBRS and how we continue to evolve along. So next slide. Thank you. So in terms of the products we'll be reviewing today, all of our products are what's called Part 96, or CBRS fully certified under Part 96. That includes a radio part for testing, so we meet the radio specifications, but we also meet the requirements for the SaaS interconnect, or the SaaS interface. So yeah, this is just high level. You can see we'll talk about an AirHarmony product, which Troy had referenced, also a small cell platform for outdoor called our AirSpeed, and then the AirVelocity platform, which we use for indoor applications. Yeah, so jumping ahead to the next slide, this next one will be our, let's see if I can get it here. Sorry, Jennifer, I cannot do this. Oh, thank you. All right, so rounding out kind of our setup slides for our product portfolio is the SaaS compliance. So today we work very closely with both Google and Federated, and if you're out there, looking into CBRS, you'll know that Google and Federated kind of lead the way today. We're working with them for these initial commercial deployments, the reference there for ICDs. So we've got several WISPs that we're working on with that under Google and Federated, but also we actually have an ICD we're testing with, kind of early days testing with Sony. CommScope's an up and comer, but each and every one of these that are listed, we basically IoT with them, where we interoperate with them. And at Airspan, we kind of take a SaaS agnostic approach where, as the SaaSs come to market, we'll be more than willing to interoperate with them. So we see ourselves, continuing to evolve into new SaaS players. So with that, we can jump into the actual RAN solutions. We'll take you through that. So we'll start with the item that Troy had mentioned, kind of our flagship product, if you will, the AirHarmony 4200. As Troy referenced, this product is actually, designed from a licensed band product, band 42 and other TDD spectrums, band 40 in India. And what we've done is we've taken this product and created a very band specific for band 48 for CBRS. Just the specs on it, it runs 5 watts per port. So it's a 4-port radio, runs 5 watts per port. But key to that is it meets the maximum EIRP that is allowed for CBRS. So and in under that 50 EIRP testing of that, we've done it under 2 scenarios. We've done it with a kind of a mid-gain antenna, an omni antenna at about 9.5 to 10 dBi, but we've also tested it with a very high gain 17 dBi gain antenna. So we have 2 scenarios under FCC that it's been fully tested and certified at. So just to let you know, the radio itself is capable of running in single or dual carrier. So in other words, you can take the 4 ports and you can split 2 to each sector, if you will. So you can run it in dual sector mode, or you can combine all 4 ports to a single 4-port antenna and provide a single sector, keeping in mind that for each of those sectors or carriers, you get 40 megs of total spectrum. So it does support carrier aggregation. 2x2 would give you a 40 meg channel that it will utilize for that. It's a very high capacity product. Again, it's been designed really from a mobile application, and we've transitioned it into CBRS, which initially you'll see primarily fixed wireless applications for this. But under that, it supports up to 256 active connected users, simultaneous connected users, which is quite high. I think when you compare it against many other CBRS offerings, you'll find that's fairly robust and kind of leads the way. In terms of some of the interfaces, again, 4 external ports are supported. We do provide, you can see a reference here to GPS, that's a GPS antenna, so that's another interface, and that's part and parcel. We ship you the full GPS capability with it. And then in terms of backhaul, we can support either a gigabit to Ethernet backhaul or an SFP-based backhaul on this product. So real quick, in terms of the spectrum, I referenced 2 by 20 megahertz or 40 megahertz of available spectrum, but the what we call the instantaneous bandwidth is the full bandwidth of the radio. In other words, supports the full 150 megahertz of available spectrum at CBRS. And you are able to support contiguous and non-contiguous channels when you set those 2 by 20 megahertz channels up. It'll support 2 by 10 or 2 by 20 megahertz in terms of the combinations of the carrier aggregation, just as a quick reference there. And as we go through each of the products, just keeping in mind, Troy had referenced this before in terms of some of the SON feature sets and plug and play. The product itself supports a couple of key SON feature sets. One for commissioning, it's in and around plug and play. The key to that is something called auto PCI, and an LTE, the ability to add cells and keep up with the PCI planning is important. Under our SON feature set, that's automatically done for you. You can automatically have the PCIs planned for you. And then another side to SON feature set that we like to emphasize is optimization features, which help in poor RF conditions. So you can turn what we call dynamic IC on, and the cell itself will help to control cell edge interference. So that's another strong one, but we won't spend much time on that today. We can always come back to that at a later date. So jumping to the next slide. This is our kind of rounding out our outdoor portfolio, if you will. This is our AirSpeed 1000. The real difference between this and the AirHarmony is this is a small cell platform. Troy had referenced a very key account with one just recently and announced just recently, where the customer actually uses kind of a hub home or a micro pop type approach with CBRS, and they're utilizing this platform. Now, the platform itself supports everything that the AirHarmony supported in terms of 2 by 20 megahertz channels. So it has the same carrier aggregation capacities, supports a full SON feature set. The primary difference is going to be the power levels, of course, right? It's 25 dBm per port. So what we've done is we've tested this product within FCC using high gain antennas, and we can get it up to, the reference there is EIRP. We can get it to 46 dBm. Of course, that doesn't meet the full, maximum of 50 EIRP, but it can be used in high power. It can be used in kind of a macro approach for a more cost-effective base station, or you can also use it really as a small cell platform. You can place it nearer to the subscriber base. It supports 128 connected users. It's still fairly significant, and we feel that's very competitive. It does only have a gigabit Ethernet port in terms of its backhaul capabilities. But again, it supports the full suite of what we were just looking at in terms of feature sets as the AirHarmony, just a small cell platform, essentially. All right, next slide. Yeah, so kind of rounding out our outdoor offering, this is our CPE, our outdoor unit. And so what we've done is we've developed this is going to be a Cat 6 that will be taken to market for CBRS. And if you're not aware, there's going to be a specific requirement for the CPEs that you use for CBRS, and they will have to be connected to SAS as well. The standard itself is designed for the end user device, has been designed around a mobile device, a handheld device of 23 dBm. So the unit itself provides 23 dBm for transmit power, but then on top of that, and this is in reference to the high performance and the long range capability of this, it does have a 17 dBi gain built into the unit itself. So it's very high capacity, it's very long range, and it's very robust in its performance. But as a result of that, it will require to connect to SAS. So at this point in time, we are going through the process of certifying it for Part 96. We're actually in our Taiwanese labs today. We're testing it. It should be done. We expect ready to go, let's say, by end of the quarter is what we're anticipating for the outdoor CPE. So I think that's enough on that. We can move on to the next slide. So Troy had referenced this. It's probably not a big focus for most of you today, but it's kind of planting the seed. So this is an indoor product. It's called our AirVelocity 1500. Similar to our AirHarmony product, the AirVelocity product line for Airspan has been, we've deployed this in a multitude of markets and other license bands. So AirVelocity and indoor deployments are a fairly common use case for Airspan. We've supported this worldwide on a global scale. So what we've done is we've taken that platform, AirVelocity, and we've created a CBRS product with it. Key to this unit is everything you see there is fully integrated. As a fully integrated antenna, Troy had referenced earlier, you can wall mount it or ceiling mount it, and that's the versatility of the antenna design allows you to do that. It gives you a little references here to EIRP, but the key to this is it meets the Cat-A, which is, Cat-A is less power than the outdoors that you'll find as a Cat-B device. So it meets the Cat-A, it's been fully certified for that. And that means it still requires SAS interconnection, but it's more for indoor applications, the Cat-A. The unit itself is really powered off of PoE. It shows various backhaul options here, but typically in an indoor environment, you'll likely use, the existing wiring in the building and the existing PoE switching that you have in place. Again, it basically supports consistent with the products you've seen, 40 megahertz of available spectrum, and all the SON feature set as well. So, all right, keeping things moving along here. We will jump to, sorry, Jennifer, I wish I could do this, but I can't. We're going to focus a little bit more on what's called our Netspan or element management system. And this is not only the element management system, but for CBRS, and Netspan represents what's called the domain proxy as well, that was built in for CBRS. The first portion I'll focus on Netspan itself and what it provides. Troy mentioned this earlier. Our Netspan product itself is something that resides local at your site. We put it on your own server. It's kind of a host client setup. It will address all of the products, so all of the RAN products you've seen, all products that we will introduce in the future, and even any other license band that you might have. It's our primary interface. Really jumping to the next slide kind of gives you the high level overview of each of the modules of the Netspan itself. Ooh, thank you. Yeah. So under feature summary, if you focus on kind of that left upper quadrant there, fault management, config, and performance management are all the key components to the element management system. Configuration management is key, and CBRS especially, it's key because what we've done is we've added a module in here that allows for the certified professional installer to add the component that is required for CBRS. But of course, it's just, configuration management is how you set the radio up. It's how you address the plug and play if you were to use that. It has a variety of other components for things like software management. But the other key components to any good management system would be performance and fault management. And again, Airspan has been involved with operators around the world. It is a carrier-grade product, so as a result, we have a full suite of performance management statistics and KPIs that you can utilize, and as well, our fault management system. It'll interface into your NOC system, and you can utilize it to do a variety of things for you. A full northbound interface is supported for both performance and fault management, and yeah. So that probably wraps up the basics of the Netspan in terms of high level. I'd love to talk to you in more detail, when the time permits. So then the other key component for Netspan is the domain proxy that's been inbuilt into the Netspan. So you're seeing a reference diagram down below. It's kind of busy, but it's essentially showing to the far left there. That's all the air interface and what would be the radios or the CBSDs interfacing back into the network. But you'll reference here the Netspan itself and the domain proxy. So the key to the domain proxy is it provides via the Netspan, you go in and configure a radio. The Netspan essentially negotiates with the SAS. So it's a single point that negotiates back into SAS, whether it be, let's use as an example, Google or Federated. So it negotiates the channel itself and then helps to set up what's called the grant through the interface process. And then you'll establish a heartbeat to the radio. And so that's what we've done. So Airspan's designed this into the system. So when you purchase essentially an Airspan system, you'll get Netspan and domain proxy as part of that. And that allows you to be fully compliant to to the CBRS commercial requirements. So All right, and really to kind of round it out from a product standpoint, Airspan, starting with the RAN, CPE, element management, of course, is kind of key as well with the CBSD and the domain proxy. But this is rounding it out in terms of the product offering, and it's the core element, the EPC. Enhanced Packet Core is really what that references for LTE. And we offer it under a heading called aCore. That's our solution. We use a fully virtualized product. And it is very scalable. It basically shows here that it'll scale. We do offer it in CBRS as low as 50 or 100 subscribers. The reference to 200 simultaneous attached subscribers really is more of a mobile application. We reference, we really recommend going over about 20,000 fixed wireless subscribers due to the throughput requirements for that. Fixed and mobile are a bit of a different use case application. But the EPC itself provides it's a full EPC with the MME and the HSS, essentially the control plane and your subscriber database, and then the full SMP gateway function. So it is essentially a network in a box. You can start small and you can scale this thing up. It's easy to, it's essentially easy to start from, kind of a starter kit approach and grow it out. So. Again, just to stress, we do support both fixed and mobile applications. I realize that most of you guys will be looking at fixed, but as CBRS evolves, mobility will become a more important part of that. And so this solution, from the core all the way through the RAN, has a full mobility feature set that is supported. So, and really that's it as far as very high level. Sorry to rush through it, but time's kind of limited. So I'm going to wrap it up here and turn it back over to Jennifer. But I do appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, Greg. And thanks really to all of our speakers. Special thanks to Lamar and CTI for having us today. All right, let me just get my mouse here and get our questions up. Okay, and we did have a couple questions come in. First one that came in is, does Airspan provide end-to-end LTE solutions? I don't know if Troy or Greg, do you want to take that one?
End-to-end what? I'm sorry?
Solutions. Does Airspan provide E2E LTE solution?
End-to-end, yeah.
Yeah, from a high level, I would say absolutely yes. I mean, we have CPE, we have the eNode B, we have the EPC, and also Netspan to control it all. So for all the components necessary to provide an solution, we have all of them.
Awesome. And the other question that came in from the same asker is, does Airspan offer other LTE bands?
Yeah, I
can. You want to take that one?
This is Greg. Yeah, I can.
I'll leave it to Greg. But we offer a lot of bands.
Yeah, we do. We offer other bands. One of the strong, what we find for fixed wireless, another band that's quite popular, if you can get it, it's a licensed band, a band 41. And yes, we have a full offering in band 41. We have a 700 megahertz radio. So yes, we do offer in other bands as well. So.
Excellent, thanks. Next question that came in is, when can an operator support a commercial CBRS network?
Yeah, so that's a good question. As I had mentioned earlier, initial commercial deployment is essentially a special program, if you will, that the SaaS providers and the FCC have kind of introduced together. We are in the throes of that. You could check on the CBRS Alliance. There's a lot of good press about this, the various use cases that are out there. But we Airspan have launched this using the WISP, the WISP model, if you will. We've got about 4 of them out there running today. We do anticipate at this point, the FCC should be announcing this quarter. I can't guarantee a thing around FCC, of course, but we do anticipate first quarter that very likely we should be moving to commercial CBRS. If you have a need to do any testing or you want to get going on this, Airspan's here to help you, line you up with a SaaS provider and see the potential of even going under the ICD banner to kind of get things kickstarted for CBRS.
Thanks. Next question is, how would an operator get access to the ICD?
Yeah, so the ICD is actually managed through the SaaS providers. The best references we have today, I would say, I'm not pushing any specific SaaS vendor, but Google and Federator are the two that we know best. You can feel free to reach out to Airspan. We can assist you with that. Or, you know, Google has a fairly friendly web portal that you can check into as well. And then, of course, we don't limit ourselves to those two, but those two are the ones that we've really focused on for ICD. They seem to be in the best position to offer the ICD at this point. So
Awesome, thanks. I'm just scrolling down to the questions here. There are a bunch of questions coming in, so we will keep asking our speakers the questions, but any questions that we've run out of time for, we'll absolutely, you know, pass those on and get them answered directly to you. Next question is, what are the steps for acquiring a CBRS channel?
Yeah, it's really essentially acquiring the CBRS channel. It's kind of a lightly licensed thing. But the key to CBRS is you're going to have to work with first a SaaS provider, and that's key. I will say that because once you set up a relationship with SaaS, and for Airspan's part, it's not difficult. We have, you know, in terms of how you come to Airspan and we can set you up with give you all the steps required to set up your CBSDs or your radios. There's certain licensing around it, but we manage all that for you, and we actually make it fairly easy for you. So the key though is to initially you need to talk to a SaaS provider and get yourself set up and registered in their system.
Awesome, thanks. This next question might be for Troy. Do you have a starter kit?
We're building a starter kit right now. We're working with CTIconnect to build a starter kit. It's relatively simple. It depends on which radio that you want. It's easy to do the EPC and the eNode B and the Netspan. Right now, we're working out our options for a Part 96 certified CPE, but we can absolutely build a starter kit.
Awesome.
In fact, I have a call with CTIconnect later today to talk, I think, among other things, about that as well.
Awesome. All right, next question that came in is, does the AirHarmony 4200 require CPRI? Are you able to take that, Greg?
What was it? Sorry. I missed
no problem.
the reference at the end.
So does the AirHarmony 4200 require CPRI?
Oh, CPRI. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I missed you. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. You know the CPRI. Yeah, I understand. No worries. Yeah. So I should have talked more specifically on this than I usually do, but I was moving along. The AirHarmony itself and all the products you see there, they're all self-contained. So all baseband, all radio components are all built in. So there isn't a requirement for CPRI or frontal. There's not a separate baseband unit, in other words. So no, it does not require the CPRI link. Yeah.
And the same person asked the next question, so I'm guessing it's related. Is there an integrated antenna?
For the current outdoor products that you saw there, it's not integrated. It is an external antenna. You know, CTIconnect's got a full offering of antennas, and we can certainly work with you on that. For the indoor, however, you know, just to provide an indoor reference to integrated, it does have a fully integrated antenna. But for outdoors, it does require an external antenna. So.
Awesome. Next question is, how is the AirSpeed 1000 powered?
Yeah, both of our outdoor products are DC powered products. The AirHarmony, it's about somewhere around a 200 watt radio in total. And then the AirSpeed 1000 is probably in the range of 50 to 60 watts total. So just as a reference, but they both operate off of 48 volt DC. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Next question. How many concurrent customers in a fixed wireless application?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a different. I mean, we do show that we support 256 and 128 respectively for our macro and our small cell platform. Typically in fixed, you wouldn't see that because your SLA would say that you'd probably need to offer less per sector. It's a great question. I mean, it kind of depends on the SLA you're trying to offer. If you're trying to offer 100 megs or 25 meg packages, it's going to vary quite a bit. I will say that for the 40 meg of available spectrum for TDD, and you'll find this across the board typically with TDD, if it's standard TDD spectrum, you should be getting at best case 200 megs of available spectrum for downlink, and kind of on average probably more in the 150 megahertz range in terms of the coverage area for downlink. So just as a reference, maybe that'll be helpful.
Awesome, thanks. And we have a question for Lamar. Lamar, can we purchase Airspan through the CTIconnect website?
I'm actually fairly new here, but I'll double check on that because I know we do have the most of our Airspan's equipment on the website, but let me double check if we have the particular CBRS stuff that we're talking about right now. So I can get back to whoever answered that question. If you want to, if they can either shoot me an email at ctisales@cticonnect.com, or if you want to give me their contact information, I can just reach out to them afterwards.
Absolutely, I can see the attendees asking questions, so I'll absolutely share that. So is the 4200 software upgradable to 5G NR, or will that include a hardware trade-out?
Yeah, so the radio itself, the AirHarmony, well, essentially all the products you saw, they're all designed on a 4G chipset, so they are 4G compatible. 5G actually is a separate platform. Now, it's a separate webinar, we could say, because and is to Troy's reference earlier for Rakuten, we do have a 5G offering that we are rolling out in the 2020 timeframe, but it would be on a separate.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. All right, well, we have more questions, but this is about all the time that we have left for today. We will be following up with everyone on answers to the questions that we didn't get to. And just before we sign off here, I wanted to share the calendar of events that CTI and Airspan have coming up. CTI will be at the FISPO Live, which runs February 5th through the 7th in New Orleans, and of course WISP America in March. So be sure to visit them at booth 606. And on the Airspan and Airspan AirVelocity by Airspan side, we will be at our time, hosted by the NTCA, February 16th to the 19th, and you can find us at booth 32. That show is in Phoenix, Arizona, and we'll also be at WISP America. We kind of are spanning two booths, 1111 and 1113. That show runs the 17th to the 20th of March and is hosted in Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much for joining the webinar, and this slide here just shows how you can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And that concludes our presentation today. On behalf of everyone at CTI and Airspan, let me thank all of you, our audience, for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and we wouldn't be here without you. So thanks for taking time out of your schedules to spend it with us. I'd also like to thank our speakers, Lamar, Troy, and Greg, for presenting today. And with that, we will sign off. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.